What's going on, family and friends? Welcome back to My Thoughts Uncut. I'm your host, Terrence Manning. Thank you again. Appreciate you guys for watching. We're going to talk about John Fetterman on The View. They're going to ask him some questions on why he decided to side with the Republicans to reopen the government. You know what? Let's just take a look.
Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman joined 7 other Democrats who broke ranks with the party and voted alongside Republicans on a measure that could lead to the end of the longest government shutdown ever. Joining us from D.C. to tell us why he did, welcome, please, the author of the new book, Unfettered, Senator John.
Can we ask a question? How are all these congressmen, congresswomen, writing books? Like, what is going on here? They're just writing books left and right. Is it me? Is it me who just realizes this? Like, almost all of them are writing a goddamn book.
John Fetterman. Good morning. Alyssa has the first question, sir.
Good morning, Senator. So you were critical of this shutdown from the outset, saying it never should have happened, never should have come to this, even at times criticizing your own party. So I want to ask you, why did you ultimately decide to support this agreement? And where do you stand on the growing number of Democrats who are calling for Leader Schumer to step down in light of the shutdown deal?
Oh, there's a lot there. Well, first of all, it's not like I agreed to that. I mean, I've been consistently. Now, remember, this all that went back to March. I effectively kind of led the charge now that it's wrong to shut our government down. And then enough of us realized that that's just too risky and that's too much chaotic. And then we kept it open. And I know there was a lot of backlash for that. And I declared back then, we'll be right back in the end of September. And I will be there too, because it's fundamentally the wrong thing. When you're confronting mass chaos, I don't think you should respond with more chaos or fight with more chaos. It's like, we need to be the party of order and logic and now respond in a way. And now I refuse to weaponize the SNAP benefit for 42 million Americans, that rely on feeding themselves and their family, or making flying in America less safe. Or I refuse not to pay our military and all of the unions attached to all of this and people.
Ding, ding, ding. He hit it right on the nail. I agree with him. 42 million Americans needed the SNAP program to be back. Is there fraud within the SNAP program? Absolutely. But for the people that actually need it, you need to reopen that. We needed the FAA, aka the air traffic controllers, to make flying safe. That's another reason. And like he said, why hurt the American people with this government shutdown? So he hit the nail right on the coffin.
So for me, it's like I don't agree with that tactic to respond to the circumstances that we're confronting on this. I absolutely support. What? I'm sorry. What?
Oh no, go ahead, Senator.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is, it's like a Democratic Party has to respond. That we have to have the ability to agree to disagree on some of these core issues right now. And now, right, for me, I think it was the wrong thing to do those things, because under this shutdown, no one was getting anything. There was no SNAP. There was no, healthcare extensions on those things around there too. So for me, it's like reasonable Democrats can disagree on certain kinds of core things, but I hope we could all agree.
See, the key word he said was reasonable. Reasonable Democrats. There are no reasonable Democrats. Well, I would say the 8 that voted to reopen the government are reasonable. But those are the older left center government. Sorry, not government. Well, yeah, they're government officials. They're Congress members. So they're more so reasonable. And that's why he made a common sense ruling on why are we shutting down the government when that doesn't benefit anyone. If we need to revamp this healthcare Obama-nation healthcare system, we need to have the open government to do that. We can't do that when the government shut down and nobody's getting paid but Congress.
agree that chaos is the wrong response for the kinds of chaos that our nation has been in after the president's reelection.
And can I just follow up? Is Leader Schumer, in your mind, the right leader for this moment for Democrats?
I'm saying that it's like that's not really my concern right now. It's not like a leadership situation. It is, we are living in the backlash of the election. It's been effectively a year now. America decided to put us in the minority. And now in terms of leadership right now, you know, what defines leadership for me? I think that's order and logic and describing people exactly where we're at. And now we were all energized by the election just last week. And now for me, I think it's like, hey, let's take the win on that. And now we know there's a lot of backlash to this kinds of chaos. And now voters are going to respond to more order and the more kinds of not violating our core values to plunge our country into chaos for 42 million Americans, food security with that.
If Democrats were smart, they would take his advice and they would probably have a better chance to win more. And I'm not talking about winning in their own when you're in New York or where you're in Virginia or New Jersey, those are Democratic states. New York City is a Democratic city. You're going to win. You need to win the swing states. You need to try to get more voters out on your side in the red states. So he's right, but at the same time, they don't listen to him because they don't want to really win. They just want to push their agenda. And that's a big difference.
That's really parts of the essence of kind of people that I fight for. Now we have to, be able to disagree on these things. And if you can't, and now as a committed Democrat that vote 90% of the Democratic line, I mean, now like that might be a bigger problem with our party in some way, that a committed Democrat from the most difficult and purple state in the country says, hey, I'm trying to call balls and strikes in the middle of this chaos.
Well, Senator Bernie Sanders said the vote was a horrific mistake. Governor Gavin Newsom called it pathetic and a surrender.
Here comes Angry Sonny.
Poll found more Americans on both sides of the aisle blaming Republicans. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene blamed the GOP. As you mentioned, Democrats had big wins last week, so you had momentum. Why give in now? Why bring a butter knife to a gunfight? Are you willing to gamble that the GOP will negotiate on health care in good faith once the government reopens? Because if that gamble is wrong, 500,000 Pennsylvanians that you represent, their health care costs will skyrocket if you are wrong. And I believe you are wrong.
Well, first of all, MTG is quite literally the last person in America that I'm going to take advice to get their kind
Marjorie
of
Taylor Greene,
values.
MTG.
And now if Democrats are celebrating crazy pants like that, then that's on them. And now I don't need a lecture. I don't need a lecture from whether it's Bernie or the governor in California, because they are representing very deep blue kinds of populations. And a lot of those things were part of the extreme. And now remember, what really needs to win the big.
He basically saying, hey, listen, I represent Pennsylvania. They're a swing state, which means it's just a toss up between they wrote Republican, they wrote Democrat. So I gotta pretty much deal with both parties. You guys are in California, which is a blue state. You guys don't really have to deal with anything like that. So you can say all these things about Bernie Sanders or being upset about reopening the government. I can't do that here in Pennsylvania. Don't be trying to lecture me. That's basically what he said.
Win is involving my state and other states and those things. And why have we arrived here after the election a year ago? We want to forget. We got to forget some of the things that cost us that election. Or now, for me, it's like, that's why I'm trying to remind people that kinds of the extremism, we can't return to those kind of things and realize we need to find a way forward. And I would like to, rather than cite MTG, I'm going to cite one of the new governor-elects saying that my election is not a green light to continue the shutdown, because I promise you, this isn't a political game. It is viewed by many of us, but the reality is 42 million Americans now not sure where their next meal is going to come from, and because we vote like that, or people that haven't been paid for 5 weeks now, and that kinds of chaos. Those workers have to borrow more than $500 million, from their credit union just to pay their bills now.
And she's about to stop him clearly because she doesn't like Whoopi doesn't like what he's saying is common sense. And she always does that. Whenever they get on the roll and start making common sense and they rebuttal what Sonny Holston says, which is always emotional and this sometimes is plain out dumb. And she's a lawyer. She used to be a lawyer, so I don't understand why she says these things. But he's right. It's common sense things. Listen, we're not gambling with this healthcare issue when there's 42 million people that need SNAP. There's people that need to go back to work and get paid, especially those who are in control of our air. We need safety when we're flying. That's priority. So for her to just gamble like that and to encourage the Democratic side to gamble like that on the American people's well-being, their livelihoods, it doesn't make any sense to me. She's speaking at a point of privilege and advantage because this doesn't affect her. The shutdown does not affect her in any way. She can probably fly private if she wanted to. So it's not affecting her whatsoever. I just don't understand why they're willing to gamble the lives and sacrifice American citizens who have nothing to do with this shutdown. I'm glad he voted to reopen the shutdown. It should be reopening soon. I think they said by Wednesday. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you think Sonny was right, if you think John Fetterman was right, and if you think I was right or wrong. Like, subscribe. Appreciate you guys for watching. Hit that notification bells for all my other videos, and see you next time. Peace.